Sponsored program paid for by Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group, RE/MAX Results. Welcome to Rochester Real Estate, featuring Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell. Here's Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk, 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Good morning, everyone. Andy Brownell, and I'm extremely happy to be back with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results. Good morning, Robin.
Good morning and welcome back.
Oh, goodness. It's been a long and strange trip. I guess a story for another day, but...
well, you scared us, I'll tell you that.
Well,
definitely scared us.
I scared myself, and I have a lost month, more or less. So I imagine...
You're here now.
Yep.
That's the main thing, with your smile on, I bet.
I do. I probably have a bigger smile now. You know, you and I always talk about glasses half full.
Yeah.
When you go through what I went through, that becomes such an important mantra. I cannot tell you. And
yep. We have to appreciate what we have. There's no doubt about it.
There is absolutely no doubt about it. And I certainly appreciate my proximity to the Mayo Clinic.
Yes, absolutely. Saved your life, I'm sure.
Yeah, they did. The team in the ICU, incredible. So,
yeah.
And I certainly met a lot of people who would love to live in this town, who are traveling great distances to work here.
Yeah.
And I can see why you're...
Can't find housing? Let me guess.
And I can see why you're so busy, that's for sure.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, and we still have the huge need for affordable housing, and I don't think that's going away anytime soon. So hopefully there are people in place, you know, trying to figure this out, because a lot of people have no option but to rent, and that used to be what was the affordable option. But if you've looked at rent prices in Rochester, it's not exactly what I would call an affordable option.
No, and as you know, my son made that choice. He went from renting to owning, and thanks to you and your team, he is a happy first-time home buyer and settling in.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm so happy. It's always such a reward when people have been, you know, paying rent, knowing that they're throwing away equity that they could be building in a house and wanting so badly to get into that house, but just can't seem to find one that fits. And when they find one that does fit so well, it's just, I can't even tell you how awesome that feels.
Yeah, it's
one of my favorite parts of my job.
It's been fun watching him adult.
Isn't it great? Isn't it great? And we get to look back and say, we did all right. We did all right with these kids. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, since you've been gone, not a lot has changed in the real estate world. Things are still crazy. People are worried because they're seeing interest rates going up and inflation still going up and stock market still looking bad. And they're wondering just how is this going to affect housing? You know, what's going to happen? Well, you know, I can make predictions. That's all they are. But I feel like if the stock market continues to do bad and inflation continues to go up, the rates are going to go back down. And they haven't gone crazy up. I mean, I think some places they're in the high 3s, maybe touching 4. But again, how many times have we discussed the fact that a 4% interest rate is nothing to cry about? And
prior to my crisis, you were predicting that about this time it would be about 4%.
Right, yeah. And the thing is that what I didn't predict is that there'd still be such a, I mean, I know the supply chain has played a great part, and just the workforce. There's still things that are pretty much in turmoil that are, you know, it's a, what do you want to say? It affects everything. You know, it's the trickle-down effect is what I'm trying to say. You know, like supply chain. You know, supply chain, it's tough for obvious things, like if you're building a house and you have to wait 36 weeks to get your windows instead of 6 weeks, that's a problem.
Big problem.
And if you have to, I have a seller right now who's going to be selling his house in Rochester, and he's building in Florida, but he's like, I don't know when to put my house on the market because I don't want to be homeless in between. And they've been waiting and waiting and waiting for my windows, and they can't even give me a projected delivery date.
Wow.
And it's stressful. I mean, he's just completely stressed out. So I said, well, let me just do my magic and find you a buyer who can be flexible with the closing date, if you will allow me to show your house before we officially list it. So I did that, and I found somebody who said, yeah, this house is perfect for me, and I have all kinds of flexibility. So,
Neat.
I mean, there is always an answer to whatever the situation is. There's always an answer, okay? So when it seems like, oh, there's too many pieces I have to put together, I don't know how this is going to work, all it's doing is causing me a lot of stress, that's when you want to call and have an experienced, good real estate agent working, realtor working with you, because it's not a guessing game. This is not a guessing game, and you can make some big mistakes.
And I can attest that when my son was going through the process, he would be calling me up with all these questions. And I said, call Robin. That's what she's there for. And guess what? You guys did. That's exactly what you were there for.
Oh, and when he said, this place is perfect, I'm like, okay, that is music to my ears. I love it, love it, love it. So, yeah, I'm happy to have helped him and gotten to know him. And I was really good it was really handy to get the inside scoop. So kept me a little more calm knowing you were going to be all right. But I can't lose Andy.
So, it's getting close to mid-February now.
Yeah.
Are you starting to see all the residents come flocking in? Is it the spring market?
Not yet. The residents will match. There's a national match day. So all the graduating medical students match on the same day across the country, and that day is like mid-March. I don't know the exact day this year, but it's usually right around St. Patrick's Day. And then as soon as they match and know where they're going, then that's when the hustle and bustle begins. The ones who find out they've matched at Mayo and are coming to Rochester, then they start getting in contact with agents and start their search. A lot of them actually fly in like that weekend to try to get ahead of the curve. Yeah.
So in front of that, I imagine you're still busy with your interest rates have edged up, but you ask me, 4% is still really low.
Okay, so I put a house on the market Monday of this week as coming soon. And what coming soon means is people can see the pictures, they can see the price, but they can't go in it. I can't even take a client in it. These are just the MLS rules. So we can just basically put it out there so people have a fair opportunity to make an appointment instead of seeing it after it's already been sold, right? So we put that on Monday. By Wednesday, we already had 18 showings confirmed, and the showings just started yesterday, okay? And so far, we have 4 offers in.
Wow.
So we'll have it sold later this evening or tomorrow. And so it's a price point. It's $229,900, so it's a price point that we have a ton of buyers in. That hasn't changed. That's one thing that since we've started doing this show, however many years ago it's been now, has been consistent. That $200,000 to $300,000 price range is just really, really needed and wanted and sought after. So there's, 5 to 6 to 10, I don't know how many buyers approved for each one of those listings that comes on.
So as this goes on and it remains a very competitive seller's market, is it harder to keep those homes within that range, or are these bids pushing up out of the range?
Well, I think houses went up from 2020 to 2021 on the average in Rochester 15%. Since then, they're continuing to go up. Thank goodness not at that same hectic pace. This year, we're probably going to see a 5 to 8% raise from prices last year. Okay, so it's up a little. And then add to that the interest rates being up a little, it does cramp the affordability for some buyers. It does make it tougher.
But it's not Austin, Texas either.
Oh, thank God. They're going to have another year of 30% up over last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really crazy there.
Okay.
So no, we relatively speaking, Rochester, Minnesota is still an affordable, attainable place to live. But even so, it's still a tough market to get into.
All right. We have to take a break already. We're talking with Robin Gwaltney, with Gwaltney Group RE results, and we will return in just a moment on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Ye old butchers.
With Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back. It's Andy Brownell with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE results this morning. Robin, we talked a little bit about the man in Florida with the delays and the windows and the,
Oh, yeah.
I know one of your family members is building. How's that
Yes,
going?
my daughter and her husband are building. It's so much fun. It was nice this past week with the warm weather because they were actually out there framing up, and it's fun to watch it go up. But I have told my kids they are so lucky to be working with such a good builder, and I'll give him a shout out. It's Dan Severson from Severson Builders, and he's so on the ball that while they were working on getting their construction loan in place, didn't even have that all finalized, he said to me, Robin, right now's the time to order the windows, because if we order them now, we'll get them, because what everybody's telling me is there's going to be a shortage, it's going to be a delay in delivery, and the prices are going to go up. So I said, all right, let's order them. So he ordered them. I mean, I just paid for them. I said we can worry about that later, right? We just need to get these things. So the windows came in, I think it took about 4 to 6 weeks maybe to get them, which was super quick, and I think he saved them like $15,000. So Not only he saved him a ton of money and a ton of wait time, because he had his finger on the pulse, he knew what was going on, and so they're like, we got so lucky. I said, you didn't get lucky, you're working with a doggone good builder who knows how this works and was able to give us good advice, and luckily we were in a position to be able to just get those for them. So they have a big shed out there at their land, and they were able just to store the windows in the shed, and when they're ready to put them in, they're there. So yeah, huge. But their building is going right along. I mean, prices are crazy. They got a quote for their garage doors, and I just got new garage doors a couple of years ago. I wanted to change from white to the dark brown or whatever.
Sure.
So I changed my garage doors, and I remembered what they cost, and they told me what their bid was, and I think it's something like $2,000 or $3,000 more. For their 2 garage doors, it's like $6,800.
Well, I guess I'll be keeping my current garage doors for a while then.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Well, I have 2 perfectly good white ones that I took out that somebody might need, because those things are like gold now. But yeah, no, crazy. It's just crazy.
So locally, apparently, I know it's not going gangbusters building, but it is happening, and people are moving into these new homes. So apparently some people are having some luck compared to other parts of the country. But you and I were talking off air about looking forward. There's just not enough people who build homes out there anymore.
So that is a huge concern. I actually read an article where more than 300,000 job openings went unfilled in the construction industry in December of 2021. That's a lot of jobs.
It is a lot of jobs.
Yeah, it went...
And good paying jobs, too.
Exactly. It went on to say that the National Association of Home Builders estimates that the residential construction sector will need to add 740,000 workers a year to keep pace with the industry's growth, retirements, and departures. So there you go. I mean, it's a hard job. I'm not going to say it's an easy job, but we need people in the trades.
But, it's a rewarding job. I know a lot of people who work in the trades, and they work a long day, but it's when they do it, there's something there.
Right.
They built that. There's physically an object there that they constructed, and I think that must feel good.
I think that the people who really have a passion for it do get great satisfaction, no doubt. Because I've heard a lot of people describe real estate as a really stressful job, and you have to work horrible hours, and it's just not the way I've ever seen it. To me, it's just always been a really fulfilling career that I have just embraced the lifestyle of, and I don't think, sure, is there stress? There's stress in every job.
Right.
But it's not necessarily a bad stress, and I think that most contractors think of the hard work as hard, rewarding work, the ones that are really passionate about it.
Right. Funny story related to that, my health issues. When I was in ICU, I was talking to one of the ICU nurses who I think that is an extraordinarily high-stress job.
Oh, wow.
And I was describing what I did for a living and how much fun I've had at it all these years and how much I enjoy it. And she looked at me and she goes, enjoy it? She goes, everything you just described seems like the most stressful thing I can imagine.
And here she is, an ICU nurse.
ICU nurse. So
it's our passion. It's what it's what you're passionate about, because you and I are both saying ICU nurse, no thank you.
No thanks.
I can pass on that stress level, but yet we do have our own type of stress in our job. And
sure.
I don't think definitely we don't have a physical hard working job like those tradesmen do, right? I mean, to be on your knees laying wood floors or laying tile floors or climbing up on rafters framing up a house when the winds are blowing and it's 20 degrees outside, none of that sounds fun to me. But if they're passionate about it and they see that end product, I'm sure that's what keeps them going.
Yeah, and there's a lot of young people out there pondering whether to go off and spend $100,000, $200,000 on tuition or choose this path and likely get a free education on how to do the trades and start making some really good money right away.
Yeah, I hope that there's some way to attract, more young people. I don't know what it is. Is it social media? What has changed the world that the young people live in, where they all want instant fame and instant fortune, and I mean they don't want to take the path of actually. And I don't mean everyone,
right,
of course, but I think that's just what they're seeing. It's like life is glorified. Like you should be able to travel when you want and play golf when you want and go here when you want, but it's like, where does the rest of it come into play?
Right.
They all want to be homeowners, and I say, well, that's the piece that comes between the graduating, whether it's from high school or from college, and getting to that end goal of homeowners. It's what you do with yourself in between.
Yep. That's an extreme rabbit hole to try to dive into there, Robin. So I'm going to take a break before we...
Okay, I'll let you do that.
Because we'll keep chatting through the whole day. We try to tackle that one. Well,
gotcha.
We'll take a quick break. Back with Robin Gwaltney with Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results on News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
We'll be right back with Robin Gwaltney and Andy Brownell on Rochester Real Estate. This is News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA?
With Robin Gwaltney from Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results and Andy Brownell on Rochester's News Talk 1340 KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
Welcome back to our chat on Rochester Real Estate, the market, southeastern Minnesota, we better say, with Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Results.
Most definitely southeast Minnesota, because let me tell you what, we're happy to help you no matter where you're looking.
I tell you what, I have talked to so many people who are my age, which means nearing retirement, within the next decade, let's say, who keep eyeing that river off to the east of us and properties along that. So I imagine that's just going to get hotter and hotter over there.
Oh my gosh. And we are trying so hard to bring more housing into Wabasha as well, because there's just a need everywhere. So hopefully, we've got things in place over here. We've got a housing committee, and we're working with a seeded developer. So a lot of the small towns are. I see growth popping up over in Eyota and Dover and Chatfield and St. Charles. And there's just a need for it everywhere.
So that's going to take time to add to the housing stock. I imagine, that means those who are in the market now are finding themselves looking at homes that are, decades older than perhaps they were planning to look at.
Exactly. I think that in 2021, the average age of the home purchase was like 1993, so 28 years old. And a lot of buyers admitted that they compromised. It wasn't what they wanted to buy. The house that they bought maybe wasn't even in the condition that they were hoping it was in, but they had to do with what there was to work with, right?
Sure.
So when we're seeing shortage of people in the trades and building costs up 21% over last year and supply chain woes. Well, everybody can't build a new house. That's clear. Thank goodness there are still people pushing forward and doing it. I think they only predicted we would be maybe 1% down this year over last year, which isn't horrible.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right. But in the meantime, people are forced to buy what's out there and what's existing. And because people like you and I are staying in our houses longer, they're not finding the 5 and 7 and 10-year-old homes because those people have nowhere to go.
I've been in the house I'm in for 30 years, and when you say that's older house, I'm going, well, wait a minute.
Nothing wrong with my house. Well, and the truth is if I came over, I'd probably say this needs updating, that needs updating, and whatever. But we just get used to what we have, and if you're not. To be honest, Andy, in this market, I tell people you don't have to update anything because people are so happy to have an opportunity for inventory, they will do the updating. Which brings me right back to the whole thing about people are buying older houses and just compromising and not necessarily getting exactly what they had hoped to get, but making do, right?
So when you deal with a person who's in that situation, are the resources available that you can estimate how much they're going to have to put into it to get it to where they want to be?
Oh, gosh, I'm so glad you brought that up because that is honestly such an important part. When I have a young couple wanting to buy a house and we can see that the house is going to need a roof in the next few years, or we can see that maybe the windows are going to have to be replaced, we can always provide somebody in that profession that can say, okay, I can give you an estimate for a new roof or estimate for new windows or for a new HVAC system. Things like painting and carpeting and those kind of things, that's a little minor. But the big ticket items are what they're concerned about. Am I going to find myself in a situation that I can't afford to be in? Am I biting off more than I can chew, so to speak? So, yeah, it's super important that as we're guiding them to buy these houses that aren't exactly what they might have wanted, that, this is what you're going to have to budget for. Are you going to be able to do that?
Are they able to fit that into the mortgage somehow, or is that something that...
Oh, you're so smart. Did you know that, or are you
just
playing? Okay. Yeah, so there is actually a loan product that will roll into the loan the money for rehabbing the house.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah, there's a lot of different loan products out there. And, I've talked about this before. When people think that they don't qualify, I don't have 10% down or I don't have 20% down, I've heard you have to have that. Well, that is not the facts, okay? There are actually loans with very, very low down payments, as low as 0. There are certain loans out there with 0 down payment. There are down payment assistance programs. There are FHA loans with as low as 3.5% down. There are conventional loans with as low as 3% down. There's 5% down. So people just always say, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I could get approved with only this much money down. So if you're in the market and you're thinking, gosh, I would really love to buy a house, but I don't think I'm ready, do not hesitate to call because we're happy to guide you to, if you're not ready, to get you on the path to help you get ready.
Right.
We work with some really good lenders that are great at saying, okay, if your credit is less than perfect, this is what you have to do to get it repaired. We can get you on track for that. Or if your credit's great, but you don't have the money down, there's this program or that program. So it's always worth a phone call.
And I bet a few people had some light bulbs go on in their head when you talked about the mortgage that could wrap in the rehab costs, because there are some older homes that have good bones to them.
Yes, and people aren't necessarily afraid to tackle it, and sometimes they've got family members who are in the trades, so they've got inside track to somebody to help them do the work, but they just don't know how they're going to come up with those additional funds outside of their mortgage payment. But if they get one of those rehab loans where the money is in the payment, it makes it so much more doable.
Well, that's extraordinarily interesting. We are already out of time, so
oh my gosh.
How do we get a hold of Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX Result, either you, Robin, or a member of your expertise team?
Absolutely. My cell phone is always on. Feel free to call it. I can put you in the direction of whoever it is you need to help you. That number is 507-259-4926. Otherwise, visit our website at gwaltneygroup.com.
Awesome. It's so great to talk to you again, Robin. I look forward to next week.
To talk to you. All right. Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend. That's Robin Gwaltney, Gwaltney Group RE/MAX results here on News Talk 1340, KROC AM and 96.9 FM.
For award-winning local news coverage,